Greetings, Earth enthusiasts. If you ever wondered about the incredible perspectives our planet has to offer from high above, you're in the right place. I am Dr. Clive Coetzee, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this captivating journey into the world of remote sensing. Welcome. And please remember to like, subscribe to, and share this video. Now that we've created NDVI values and NDBI values for our LandSat data sets, we can now subtract these two indices from one another to get what they call a built-up index, which is supposed to give a better indication or highlight urban features more clearly than what the NDBI is doing. So let's go to our code. Remember, always save and run, always save and run. We have generated our NDVIs, and we have displayed two NDVIs for LandSat 5 and for LandSat 9. Again, the reason is because there's no time overlap, so they are unique in that sense. And we've generated those histograms. There they are. And you can see that there has been an improvement in the general NDVI levels within the region of interest. That is evident. Then we've generated the NDBI values. Remember, the NDBI values is the shortwave bands and the near infrared bands, whereas the NDVI is the near infrared bands and the red bands. Okay, so by using this expression, subtract, divide, and then add, we basically generate the NDVIs, the NDVI and the NDVI. We then added these NDVI layers, images to our layers, and we also generated a histogram for the LandSat 5 NDVIs and the LandSat 9 NDVIs. Remember, these are all median values because we've generated medium images from our LandSat data sets. Remember, we've also created display parameters, how we're going to display our histograms by creating a title and X and Y axis. Okay. Again, all of these things are discretionary. That's totally up to you. Okay. So now what we're going to do to create what they call the built-up index, we simply take the NDBI and we subtract the NDVI from one another. Okay. So the built-up index obviously will be a normalized index because we're working with two normalized indexes. So per definition, the subtraction of these two normalized indexes should give us a normalized index. We basically is the build-up index. So we take a value between -1 and 1, and we subtract it by a value ranges between -1 and 1. Okay, and specifically, it's the NDVI, NDBI minus the NDVI. Okay, so that will create what we call a built-up index. Okay, so that is the expression to generate a built-up index. Okay, so once we've created the build-up index, we're now gonna obviously gonna display it, and we have again created a build-up visualization parameter. If we go up, let's see, there we are. We've created a built-up visualization parameter, which is again a minimum between -1 and a positive of 1, and there's our color palette. And again, similar as previously, you go to your little nut next to your build-up index, and here we can again, you see it is red at the -1 side and green at the 1 side. So the more reddish the color is, the lower the built-up index, and meaning the more it leans to urban or urban structures and things like that. The more green it is, the more vegetation it is. Okay, so that's the color scheme. Again, you can change, amend, minus, create new ones. You know now how to import it, or basically just click on the color, get the code. You'll see there FF2904, FF2904. Copy and paste it in. We've gone through this. Okay. So we've created the images itself. We've created the NDVI images for each of the LandSat data sets. We've created the visualization parameters, and now we are loading, we're giving that a name, and we add them to our layers panel, meaning we're going to display it in our map. Okay, so there's our NDVI. Let's just go and untick. There's our built-up index for LandSat 5, our built-up index for LandSat 7. You can see there's definitely some changes happening, specifically around the mountain areas, mountainous areas. That is built-up index for LandSat 8. You can see that's quite a big difference there. And then the built-up index for LandSat 9. You can see quite a lot of change there. So let's go, let's visualize it again. So there's LandSat 5 built-up index. There's a LandSat 7 built-up index, LandSat 8 built-up index, and LandSat 9 built-up index. So it does seem like there's a general movement in the built-up index from the positive 1 values or the higher 1 values to the negative or lower values. Okay, that seems to be evident because remember, the red colors are closer to the -1, whereas the green colors are closer to the positive 1. Okay, so remember again, these are differences between the normalized difference built-up index or built index and the normalized difference vegetation index. Remember that. Okay, so and I've also then generated the um, histograms for each of those. Well, only for the LandSat 5 built-up index. There's our adding to layers. There's our visual display parameters for our histograms. Build-up 5 again, which is the LandSat 5 build-up index, and a build-up index derived from LandSat 9. Then I'm going to add those, create my two histograms. And then I'm actually going to just print those indexes. Just one thing to remember is that when you run into problems in terms of the size, when it tells you there's size problems, just increase the scale factor. Okay, just increase it. See, in my case, I've ran a couple of times into space issues, into size issues. Gives you like a big red warning here that says you've exceeded your space, your size limit. Just change it. Okay, just change it, and it will solve that problem. So just bear that in mind. If you run the histograms, it gives you size problems, warnings that you're exceeding your size, just change it to 700 or any value, increase that values until it accepts it. Anyway, so there's our two images. It's displayed. Okay, now that's the NDV. That's okay. There's our BI. Built-up index value for LandSat 5, that's displayed there, and there's it for LandSat 9. You can clearly see a movement further to the negative -1, negative 1, or to the minus side then what it was. And that's clearly also evident in our visualization of the built-up indexes. So what we're presenting via the histogram and what we're presenting via the image looks to be similar. They basically reinforce one another. Okay, so let's go to a specific location. Let's go again. Let's zoom into our trusted area, which is, let's go a little bit out. Let's go into a trusted area, which is this area here. Let's just delete or unselect all the ones that we're not interested in. And then we'll give it some time for these images to load. But while we do it, let's use our inspector. Let's click on a particular area. We've got our urban area here. Let's click on our urban area. Let's click on any place. Hopefully it's on a space where there's urban structure. Okay, so the inspector will give us now the values. Let's have a look at our values. And there's our built-up index for LandSat 5, which is -0.2. For LandSat 7, -0.18. Then for LandSat 8 minus 0.23, and then for LandSat 9 minus 0.26. So that's a general worsening, or let's say, I wouldn't say worsening, but a movement closer to the minus side, or -1 side, indicating higher structures, urban structures, settlements, man-made changes, etc., than if it were going to an area where there is mostly vegetation and the vegetation has improved. Okay, so you can either visually inspect the built-up index values. You're using your inspector for any particular region, or you can use your console to get the built-up index values for your region of interest in general. And otherwise, you can just look at your images and visually interpret the built-up index values for your region of interest. Yeah, so we now are able, or we have created the NDVI for each of our LandSat data sets. We've created our NDBI for our, and we used our NDBI and our NDVI to create built-up indices. Okay. So thanks for joining me on this tutorial. We will be back. I will be back with more tutorials. Stay tuned. And thanks for joining me on this remote sensing journey. And as I always say, I'll see you on the other side.